Hello guys, today's topic is host parasitic relationship. This PPT is prepared by my student, that is Ritu. The topic in the first slide we can show the definitions of host parasitic relationship. The term host and parasitic relationship is also known as symbiosis. Symbiosis is a phenomenon in which the two organisms they live together with an intimate relationship. Here you can see this, that the means of coexistence of two organisms, यानी कि दो organism साथ साथ रहें, in which one exert the nutrition from the other, जिसमें कि एक को भोजन प्राप्त होता है दूसरे से, यानी कि वो अपना न्यूट्रिशन यानी कि जो पैथोजन है they can obtain their nutrition from the host. Parasitology is a branch of microbiology, refers to the scientific study of parasitism. A host is any organism that allows another organism, bacteria, to live in or on it. यानी कि host वो है जो कि अपने साथ या अपने अंदर किसी दूसरे ऑर्गेनिज्म या बैक्टीरिया को रहने की इजाज़त दे, और पैरासाइट वो होता है कि जो कि किसी लिविंग होस्ट के अंदर उसके ऊपर रहे और उससे अपना भोजन प्राप्त करे. दैट आर कॉल्ड द पैरासाइट्स. So in next slide we can define about the symbiosis. Symbiosis refers to the livings together of organism and includes communalism, mutualism and parasitism. यानी कि इसको elaborate वे में यदि हम डिफाइन करें कि किसी डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनिज्म का एक दूसरे के साथ रहना जो कि कॉमनलिज्म, म्यूचुअलिज्म एंड पैरासिटिज्म शो करें, दिस इज कॉल्ड द symbiosis. So we can define this symbiosis in different ways. First, that is the communalism, the relationship in which parasites derive nourishment from a host without causing any harm or benefit to the host. यानी कि किसी भी होस्ट को कोई नुकसान पहुंचाए बगैर उससे अपना भोजन प्राप्त करें, that is called the communalism. Orchid. Some orchids grow on trees and that does not harm the tree. Everybody knows this. Second is the mutualism, association between organisms of two different species in which both organisms gets benefits. एक दूसरे को म्यूचुअली बेनिफिट दें. दो डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनिज्म के बीच में म्यूचुअल बेनिफिट्स ट्रांसफर होते हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड द म्यूचुअलिज्म. टाइप्स ऑफ म्यूचुअलिज्म: ऑब्लिगेट म्यूचुअलिज्म, फैकल्टेटिव म्यूचुअलिज्म. दो टाइप के हो गए. इन ऑब्लिगेट म्यूचुअलिज्म द सर्वाइवल ऑफ वन और बोथ ऑफ द ऑर्गेनिज्म इन्वॉल्व्ड इज डिपेंडेंट अपॉन द relationship, that is called the obligate mutualism. And facultative mutualism is that in which both organisms benefit from but are not dependent upon their relationship for survival. You can see here this in obligate, दोनों का जो सर्वाइवल है, सर्वाइवल ऑफ वन और बोथ ऑफ द ऑर्गेनिज्म इन्वॉल्व्ड इज डिपेंडेंट अपॉन द रिलेशनशिप, यानी कि दोनों की एग्जिस्टेंस एक दूसरे के रिलेशनशिप पे डिपेंड करती है. और फैकल्टेटिव म्यूचुअलिज्म में बोथ ऑर्गेनिज्म बेनिफिट फ्रॉम एक दूसरे से बट दे आर नॉट डिपेंडेंट अपॉन देयर रिलेशनशिप फॉर सर्वाइवलिज्म. यू कैन सॉ हियर एग्जांपल ऑफ द म्यूचुअलिज्म. In this slide is an interaction between two species in which both organisms benefit. Both organisms depend on each other to survive. Example is the lichens. In my previous lecture about the lichens, I explained each and everything in detail. That is here combination of green algae and a fungi. Green algae carry out photosynthesis and supplies food and oxygen to the fungus. यानी कि जो green algae होती हैं they have the autotrophic mode of nutrition and they are able to synthesize its own food by the process of photosynthesis, and they also provide food and oxygen to the fungus. Fungus gives shelter, उसको रहने का स्थान देता है, water वाटर एब्जॉर्प्शन करता है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड नाइट्रोजनस कंपाउंड टू द ग्रीन एल्गी, यानी कि उसको भोजन बनाने के लिए जिन एटमॉस्फेयर की ज़रूरत होती है, दैट इज़ प्रोवाइडेड बाय द फंगल पार्टनर. सो दिस इज़ अ वेरी good, lichen is a very good combination, and it is a very good example for this mutualism. Now in another slide we can explain about the parasitism. It is a type of symbiotic relationship or long-term relationship between two species where one member, the parasite, gain benefits that come out at expense of the host member. The word parasites come from the Latin form of the Greek word parasitos, meaning one eat at the table of another. So you can saw here that I clearly explain about this parasitism. This is of two types, ectoparasites and endoparasites. Ectoparasites and endoparasites are those. Here first the ectoparasites are parasites that live on the outside of the host body, such as lice and tricks. यानी कि ये बॉडी होस्ट की बॉडी में नहीं रहते, बाहर रह करके उससे अपना न्यूट्रिशन लेते हैं. एंडोपैरासाइट्स आर पैरासाइट दैट प्रेजेंट इनसाइड द होस्ट बॉडी सच एज नेमाटोड्स एंड हुकवॉर्म्स. ये बॉडी के अंदर ही रह करके उससे अपना न्यूट्रिशन लेती हैं. पैरासिटिज्म के एग्जाम्पल, fleas and mosquitoes feed on blood from the other organ. In this type of parasitic relationship, the host needs to stay alive and it is not damaged greatly. This is the example of parasitism. Now, normal flora are the microorganisms that live on another living organism, that is either they may be the human or the animals, or inanimate object without causing disease. Distribution of normal microflora on the skin. The microflora of the skin consists primarily of gram-positive bacteria. Like that, Staphylococcus epidermidis, a gram-positive cocci, and Propionibacterium acne, gram-positive bacilli. So these are the distribution normal microflora which is present on the skin, or normal microflora of oral cavity. The normal microflora of the oral cavity जो मुंह में पाई जाती हैं consist of microorganisms that possess ability to resist mechanical removal and firmly adhere to the surface like gums and teeth. You can saw here that oral cavity के अंदर sterile at birth 4 to 12 hours colonies by different species of streptococci, aerobic and anaerobic staphylococci. These are the gram-negative diplococci and diphthero or lactobacilli, etc. In this slide we can show the normal flora of the जो oral cavity में रहते हैं. जो gastrointestinal दांतों के अंदर ट्रैक्ट में जो रहते हैं बैक्टीरिया, human gastrointestinal tract, the site of food digestion consists of the stomach, small intestine and large intestine. दोनों intestine में रहते हैं. The composition of the gastrointestinal flora in human varies considerably and is somewhat depend on diet. Now, virulence and its determinants. The virulence term is Latin virulentia, from virus, etc., refer to the degree or intensity of pathogenicity. Pathogenic bacteria are able to produce disease because they possess certain biochemical or genetical trait that makes them pathogenic or the virulent. The total of the characteristics that allow a given bacterium to produce disease are the pathogens. These are called the determinants of virulence. In this slide, we can explain about what is bacterial pathogens, या pathogenesis. Pathogenicity is the ability of a microorganism to cause disease in another organism, and this process is known as bacterial pathogenesis. Potential pathogen that lives in a commensal or parasitic relationship without producing diseases. Some pathogens do not associate with their host except in the case of disease. These bacteria may be thought as obligate pathogens. Some are called the opportunistic pathogens, are those which causes disease in an immuno host which typically would not occur in a non-compromised host, are called the opportunistic bacterium. Entry of pathogen into the host. Most pathogens gain access to the host tissue, penetrate or evade host defenses and damage the host tissue. Pathogens can enter to the human body or the other host through several avenues called portals of the entry. These portals are mucous membrane, skin or parenteral route. In this slide, she defined the infection. When a parasite is growing and multiplying within or on a host, the host is said to have infections. Clear? That is called the infection. जब कोई parasite किसी की body के अंदर grow करता है और multiply करता है, that is called the, so they causes a infection. Organisms that had induced infection disease are referred as pathogenicity and the organism is called as pathogen. Here we can define both what is the pathogenicity and what is the pathogens. How does the host defenses itself? किस तरीके से वो host जो है अपने आप को बचाता है? The host defenses may be such of a degree that infection can be prevented entirely, or infection does occur, the defenses may stop the process before disease is apparent. The host defense mechanisms are divided into two groups: innate defense or inducible defense. Innate defense is common to all healthy animals since they are inherent to the host. Or inducible defenses means they must induce or turn on by the host, example to a pathogen. Now, toxins. What are the toxins? These are usually poisonous substances produced by the microbes which tend to cause widespread disease in hosts. They may be necessary for virulence. These toxins are of different types, like that of exotoxins. These are soluble heat liable proteins, few enzymes that usually are released into the surroundings as the bacterial pathogens grows. And generally, exotoxins are produced by gram-positive bacteria, although some gram-positive bacteria also makes exotoxins. Yani these are also develops from gram-negative bacteria. Here, this slide shows the exotoxin secretions. There are three types of exotoxins, that is the A, B toxins. It is composed of two parts. A is the enzyme that disrupt some cell activity, while B binds surface receptors to bring A into the host cell, that is the botulinum and tetanus toxins. ये एक्शन ऑफ एक्सोटॉक्सिन्स इस स्लाइड में आपको दिखाया गया है. Different how they can the action of an exotoxins. Now, membrane dispersing membrane disrupting toxins. It causes lysis of the host cell by disrupting the integrity of the plasma membrane. There are two. The first is the protein that bind to the cholesterol portion of the host plasma membrane, insert itself into the membrane and forming a channel. This causes the cytoplasmic content to leak out, also because the cytoplasm is higher than the extracellular fluid. This causes a sudden influx of water into the cell, causing itself, it is to swell and rupture. The two specific examples of membrane disrupting exotoxins. Number one example, leukocidins. They can make protein channels in the phagocytic leukocytes. Example 2 are the hemolysins, which make protein channels in RBCs. Here we can show about in this slide the exotoxin forms spore in the membrane. Now, superantigens, these are the bacterial proteins. They cause proliferation of T cells and releases of cytokinins. Excessive cytokinins can cause fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, shock and death. Enterotoxins are those which are the protein exotoxin released by microorganism that targets intestines. Enterotoxins are produced in or released into the intestines. These are also pore forming toxins. They create pores in the epithelial cells of the intestinal wall. When enterotoxins increases, the permeability to chloride ions in the intestinal mucous cells causes secretory diarrhea. Staphylococcus aureus and E. coli are two bacterial species which can create such condition by enterotoxins. Enterotoxins are produced by gram-negative bacteria, can also produce enterotoxins like that of Vibrio cholera is a well-known enterotoxin producer and it is a gram-negative bacteria. Seconds are the endotoxins. These are the part of the outer membrane portion of the cell wall of gram-negative bacteria. LPS, which is released when dead cell lies in the blood, causes macrophages to release high level of cytokines, resulting in chills, fevers, weakness, aches, small blood clots, tissue necrosis, shock and death. Now, these are all about this, and thanks to all.